Ever feel like life handed you a to-do list and every now and again it keeps adding to the list without even asking for your permission? Between time for work, time for your job, time for family, time for friends, time for yourself, time for obviously keeping your house from becoming a jungle. My schedule can sometimes look like a game of Tetris, and I'm sure you can relate too. But hey, I'm not here to tell you that there are not enough hours in the day, because research shows that an average working adult spends about 3 to 4 hours outside working time on passive entertainment. This doesn't include the time on your phone. That's an additional 2 to 3 hours, which can sum up to be a whole part-time job of about 25 to 30 hours a week, equating to over 2 months of 24-hour days. Crazy. So I want to share with you a few tips that has helped me as a full-time worker manage my time effectively, even whilst handling my job as well as other things. So if you're interested, keep watching. So over the years, I've been blessed with various opportunities that have required time from me, but at the same time, I've had to balance that with work or with studying full-time or working full-time. But that's just adulthood. We just have to go with the flow. But I hope these tips today would help you manage your time better, even whilst working a full-time job. As cliche as it sounds, you need to prioritize. Priority, priority, priority. And priorities can look different. Priority in terms of what you take on your plate. Priorities also with what you decide to work on first, because there's so many things calling for your attention, but you have so little time before work and after work that you can't just simply afford to do everything. When I was younger, I was that kid, I was that child that you'd find at like everything. Like you'd find me in an engineering networking, you'd find me in a medical networking, you'd find me in this, you'd find me in that. I was just doing everything. And that kind of spilled over into my adulthood, which was okay when I was younger. It was okay when I was trying to build skill sets, when I was trying to build my networking. However, as an adult, when you then have a point of focus, that simply can't work. You can't chase many things at the same time. It's just going to dilute the concentration of the efforts that you should be putting in what actually matters. So for you to be able to prioritize your daily tasks properly, you can't do that as you go along in the day. You have to have planned your day beforehand or looked at your week in an overview and planned that before the week even starts, and then go over it per the day. Because if you're trying to pick in the moment, many things are going to come at you. Many things are going to seem like they're important, but everything can't be important at the same time. You need to decide on what is important to you right now, what is important in this season right now, and what do I need to do at this moment in time. 3 major things need to be on your to-do list. Anything more than 3 is not important. So you need to look at everything that is supposedly taking your time and find out what are the 3 major things that I can do today, the 3 most important things that I have to get done today for me to feel like I'm closer to my goal, or I'm going to be less stressed, or whatever the case may be. But just know that you can't do everything. If you do more than 3, kudos to you, but just give yourself 3. Prioritize just 3 things to get done after work or before work, depending on how long your shift is. And that would guide you as to what you should do first, so that anything else that is outside that time, you're thinking twice about it. And it only works when you tell yourself what is your priority, because it's weird. It's like trying to tell yourself what yourself needs to do, but you think yourself should know what it needs to do, but actually it doesn't. So I find that there are times where I can randomly decide to do something. Many times, actually, I'd randomly decide to do something after work. But the days I know I've told myself that this is our focus for the day. These are the 3 things that we need to do. So all of these little things that have suddenly creeped up, that is wanting my attention, how important is it actually? And that goes hand in hand with learning to say no. Based on what I told you about who I was as a child, no was just not a thing in my dictionary. I just took on everything. But now, no, full stop, is a full sentence. You don't have to explain why you can't do certain things. It's a no. When you know what is on your table at the moment, when you know what the season or this time requires of you, if you can't take on any more, a no is a no. And you need to learn how to put boundaries and barriers as to what I'm letting in at the moment and what is coming on my table at the moment, because you only have so much time. And as I said in the beginning, you naturally would spend some time doing passive entertainment. You don't want to add any more thing to that time that would make you feel any more stressed, any more anxious, that you haven't gotten what you needed to get done. And you have to remember, being busy is not being productive. Being busy is not managing your time effectively. If anything, it proves that your time is not being managed properly. So I found that I'm more productive now, but I'm not doing as much. So you have to get yourself to that place of balancing. Am I just being busy for the sake of being busy and just doing every and anything? Or am I actually being productive? Like, where do I want to sit on this scale? So I'm trying to not be busy, but be effective and be productive. Okay, the only way I can do that is by prioritizing what needs to be done, prioritizing the tasks, prioritizing what comes to the table, prioritizing where it needs to be in my calendar, all of those things. Prioritize and keep it simple. Keep it linear. Before moving on to the second point, remember that under these priorities should be priority of resting. It takes discipline to rest, because you can keep going, you can just keep moving, just keep pushing. And I mean, I have heard that tired people run the world, but you don't want to run yourself completely down, because what then that means is there'll be a time where you have to completely shut out and just like recuperate. But if you infuse some rest time and discipline yourself to rest and prioritize that over your week as well, you're not going to end up being burnt out by the end of the week and then you just end up sleeping all weekend. You want to be able to manage your energy and manage your time as the week keeps going by. So when you're prioritizing, don't fill up every minute, every second that is available. Have your me time, have your downtime, and protect that time. Prioritize it where it can be prioritized as much as you can help it. The second thing is to dump and schedule. Dump and schedule. Dump and schedule. At work, so many things go through my mind, and it's always at work because I don't know, is it just me? Do you find the same? Because I think you're not at home, you're not in the space where you can get certain things done. Certain things just crop up and it's like, well, what do you want me to do about it now? I'm at work. There's nothing I can do about it. So what I find most effective for me is to dump it and to schedule it. And what do I mean by dump it? Write it down somewhere. Write it on paper, write it in your notes, dump that thought somewhere so you know that you've dealt with it, and then schedule it for another time that you can get it done, whether that is after work or later in the week. Again, priorities. You've probably highlighted what you needed to do today, and then this thought suddenly comes up. Is it actually important for me to do this today, or can I schedule that in and time block it in another point in the week as a priority based on whenever it needs to get done? So dump and schedule, which leads me nicely to point 3, which is utilize your downtime at work. So the times where it's not so busy, where you don't have so much to do, your lunch times, try and utilize those times in getting some mental tabs closed. And that looks like dumping, that looks like scheduling things, so that you don't feel like, oh, I have so much to do yet so little time. But actually you feel more empowered that, okay, these things came up, but I've utilized some pockets of time throughout my day to either get them done if they're small enough, or schedule them for a later time that would be more productive for me. So dump and schedule. Write it down, then schedule it in by setting reminders, setting alarms, asking someone to remind you, whatever would work best for you. Just dump it and schedule it. Build a system for regular things. So there are things that you just do every day, whether that's eating, and there are things that you need to do weekly, like shopping or speaking to a certain person. So for example, my husband always calls people on a Sunday. I don't know why and how he always does that, but he always calls people on a Sunday, because I'm not a caller. I don't call people because for me, I don't have time. But I guess it's not prioritized on my list yet. But for him, though he doesn't have time for that during the week, he manages to schedule that in on a Sunday. So I know on a Sunday during a particular time, I know he's probably going to be on the phone for a while, just catching up with different people briefly. So being able to have a system for certain things that are important to you. So for me, I know that I need to do my food shop at a particular point in the week. I need to meal prep at a particular point in the week. Before, it used to just be whenever I felt like, and it just doesn't work for me. Same thing with trying to schedule in fitness or reading, all of those other things that you think are important based on your overall goal for the year. Try and break that down into actionable steps that you need to do consistently, daily, and then look for a way to build a system so that you're not having to take the mental power of thinking about where can I get this done, when can I get this done, how can I get this done now, but you've kind of put yourself in a rhythm where you just kind of naturally flow into getting it done because you've kind of highlighted the time, the place for it. Have a time, have a place, keep at it. I'm really interested to also get tips from you guys. So if you have any time management tips, especially if you are a full-time worker, please pop that in the comments. I would love to hear. I'm sure it's going to help someone out there. So if you're looking for more tips on how to manage your 24 hours, check out this video here where I talk about some hacks on how to save your time during the day. Until next time, see you guys in my next video.